been going out for the first round of signatures in order to get other ones brave enough to sign. And that will be finished tomorrow, the first round. The second round will go out tomorrow for all those who are here today and all on our contact list to email me back if you want to be on the first signatory list. After this, in about 1.5 to 2 weeks, these first 2 rounds are only for women. But after this, it will go online, thanks to IPV. And then we start collecting from all over the world, men and women and all genders equal. And it's open for organizations and for individuals. And we hope that everybody in our network will promote this worldwide to everybody they know, all organizations and peace persons all over the world. So this is about the declaration. Tomorrow it will be sent out to all of you for a second round, and in 1.5 weeks goes online.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And can you give us an update on meeting space?
Yes, we have now also the Maitet from Holland was kind enough to help us with meeting spaces, but already then we had got a lot of help from Ludo Brabanda from Vrede in Holland, which is Vrede means peace. And we have now the Piano Fabrik, it's called. And it looks very great, and it can take even up to 100 persons, which I doubt we will be, but maybe if the Belgian women are very eager to come, it's great, 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 or men, whatever. And it's booked for the days, Friday afternoon till Saturday evening, and that will hopefully be covered, the costs, by the support we get from NATO network, which means about 1,500 euros, and it has equipment we need, and Ludo can also help with extra equipment if needed. So it will be possible with webinars, seminars, everything we need.
Perfect.
So that's clear. Mm-hmm.
And who can give us an update on media events?
I don't think it has been worked on yet. But
Ulla, can I inform about the European Parliament meeting?
I think we have it. We have it breakout groups report. If you go down on the agenda.
Oh,
Hi,
sorry.
I can do media. Hello, coming from Tucson. We're working on that.
Thanks, Medea.
On what?
This is Gloria.
Oh, Gloria. Sorry, I didn't know. I couldn't see you. But thanks for that.
Are you working on media events?
I'm working on anti-war media. We're starting a new listserv on it.
Okay,
well,
that's
Gloria,
correct.
This is specific for this gathering. We're talking about media focused on the gathering that's happening as a result of this work. So it may be a different, that might need attention from a different group, Ulla.
Yes.
Okay, then media needs work.
It needs work, and we would need a group of about 3 persons at least making a press statement of the declaration and the meeting. And we have to decide on the next meeting when we shall go out to the press, because I have already been contacted by Kontrapunkt from Germany. When can we get some information? And when shall we push this thing, and when shall we go out with the declaration? And for that, we need a group of 3 persons. And Ada, you are here. You made such a wonderful work with the declaration. And if we could get Kate from the UK that has the language skills, and we would need somebody from the US, which could make us a plan how to proceed. When is the first media sent out? What do we send out? And so on. So Ada, would it be okay for you? Ada?
Yeah.
Would it be okay for you to be one person in the media group?
Okay.
Great. And I will ask, you worked very good with Kate, didn't you?
Okay.
So I would ask Kate, she's not here now, and we would need somebody from the US.
Is there anyone on the meeting now from the US who feels like they could help with media events for this? That's a press release, it's follow-up with all kinds of media. Anyone from the US on that can handle those skills?
How about Anne? Are you here, Anne?
Well, I'm here, but I have, as everybody else does, pardon me, I've got a ton of things that are happening now, and I'm afraid I've got my plate so full, I would not be a useful person.
And how about you, George?
I don't have those skills at all. But Nancy and I can go back and try to find someone and let you know who that person is, because there may be someone.
I need to know what skills you're talking about. I have a PhD in rhetoric.
Who
Well,
is
Gloria,
talking?
you might do. We're talking about writing press releases, contacting press.
I'm barely awake. It's 6 a.m. here.
I'm aware, but if you're willing to think about it, then we'll pencil you in and fill in the details later to make sure you're comfortable doing that task. So right now we got Ada, Kate, or Kathy, and Gloria. That 3 can start. All right, yay.
And I will send out some contact for you, that you get in contact with each other, and then you can see what we have to do and when. So we have a time schedule for the next meeting.
Great. Several people have joined now. And
George,
if you're
Maria joined from Argentina, George.
Yes, I noticed. And thanks, new people, for joining us. Please put your information in the chat. We're sorry that we don't have a chance to hear your voice at the moment. Okay, Ula, do you need to give us an update, or do you have an update on food, refreshments?
Food refreshments, I think we have to go like we did in Madrid last year, which means that everybody brought something small with them. We might be able to have coffee and tea, but for the lunch, for instance, we have to go out, because it would, if we start with refreshments and food, we need to have a participation fee. And I think that's quite heavy to administrate. So I think we should more or less rely on that people can take care of their food and refreshments themselves. Would that be okay, in order to make the procedures easier?
Understood. And audio-visual equipment, are you set with all the equipment that you need? You know, if you're going to be streaming webinars and whatnot,
yes,
you need.
Ludo has said that the streaming is all okay.
Okay. Excellent. All right, then. So we're going to go into breakout rooms to work on.
Sorry, could we, where could we, George, handle the logo? Because we need it if we go online with the declaration.
That's right. So we need to give a thumbs up to a logo. So let me put that on the screen so that you can see. There are 2, correct?
There are 3.
There are 3. I don't know if I have all 3, but I can give you, Ula, you can share your screen and you can show them.
I think we just then take the 2, so in order to make it faster.
Okay.
And these 2 suggestions, and there is a third, I can tell you about the third when we see the 2 on the screen, have been worked out by IPB in the young people who have done it have done a wonderful work, but that's for you to decide. So if you can put them up, George.
I'm working on it. My internet connection is slowing down. It tells me it's unstable, which is why my camera's not on. Okay. So I'm going to show them one at a time, and I'm going to have to go back and forth, stopping and then starting the screen share, because I don't know how to switch without stopping in between. So that's choice number 1. Take a look. Okay. You're going to do a thumbs up or thumbs down on others. Now, I'll go get choice number 2. Okay. Wow. Okay. And this is number 2. Some slight variations from number 1, mostly in color. Okay. And now we're going to do number 3.
Okay, you got it.
Okay, hold on. So weird. Okay. And that's the 3rd option. So the design is basically the same, but the colors are slightly different. Do y'all remember what you saw? Can you give me a note on 1, 2, or 3? No. Great. All right. So this time I'm going to show it again, and you decide what you like, so you can do your thumbs up for 1, 2, or 3. This you're looking at right now is number 3. Okay. And then I'm going to give you. Okay. Number 2 is going to come up next. Going backwards this time. All righty. This is number 2. Again, variations in color, not so much in design. Now, and you're deciding which one you're giving a thumbs up to. So you either 3, 2, or number 1 here. Okay. All right, there you go. So now we're doing some. Pardon me?
But maybe we should ask if this logo at all is okay. Do you find it okay with the white dough, which we have decided upon, and the women's?
All right, Teresa, I see your hands up. After we do the thumbs up, I'll come to you. All right, and Nancy, I see your hand as well. You can go after Teresa when we've done the thumbs up. So the first logo, yes?
Wait a minute. Somebody had the 3rd logo up at the same time, which made it easy. It made it easier to compare. Somebody.
I put all 3 of the logos in the chat, so it might be easiest actually if people just put their thumbs up on which logo they like best in the chat, and then we could go from there if that works.
Or I think that would
people know how to do a thumbs up in the chat?
No.
No, I can imagine that many people
Teresa has been waiting to speak for like quite a while.
I know. Can we settle this, folks? Can you decide 1, 2, or 3? Or you can put the number 1, 2, or 3 in the chat.
Exactly.
Okay?
But it was helpful to see the 3rd one. I wonder if that's
you need to see it again, Nancy. Or you can go in the chat and you can see it yourself by using whatever the wonderful person put in the chat. And then write 1, 2, or 3. And then we'll tally those up. I can tally them while you're in the breakout rooms. Okay, great. Teresa? Teresa, you've got your hand up?
Okay. Yes, George, thank you. My comment was about the breakout rooms. We were needing to resolve the issue of Global South. And as you and I, excuse me, Nancy, I'm speaking. What we decided, I think, and based on Beatrice's comments, that it makes sense to have the Latin America breakout group and a separate Africa breakout group. I think we had previously decided that there would be a Pacific or breakout group. But George, as you and I discussed, some of us who are in the US of African descent would want to go to the Africa breakout group, in addition to going to the US-Canada breakout group. So if you can describe a bit more how the breakouts will be done to give us an opportunity so that the US-Canada group is not an all-white group, because those of us of African descent living in the US or Canada would be in the Africa group. So we had discussed this yesterday, I think. So I just wanted to make sure that that's done, because we've missed a bit of time, so we can probably move quickly since it's resolved that Global South is too broad. And so we need to do Africa, the largest continent in the world, as a separate group, and then doing Latin America. I think that was what Beatrice said, that she wanted a separate Latin America group.
Okay, thanks so much. And that's the next thing on our agenda, to determine how many breakout groups there will be. So, Ula, part of doing that was looking at the program proposal that you had for webinars and seminars. So let's determine how many breakout groups we need. There's one for US Canada do seminars.
But aren't we on the logo? Shouldn't we decide about the logo first?
Yes, people are putting it in the chat. I've seen people they're putting the number 1, 2, or 3 in the chat, and then I'll count it up and see, tally the numbers and see what we got. But I can't do that and do this. Maybe someone else can read the chat. Nancy, maybe you can read the chat and figure out how many 1, 2s, and 3s we have to determine which logo it is. I think it's between 3 and 1, but I can't really tell. So how many breakout rooms do we need? How many different webinars or seminars will they be total, Ula?
Well, it depends on what they say about the Global South. I mean, I think that Beatrice wants to have a specific Latin America group.
Absolutely, and that's what Teresa said, and that's what we're going to do. So they'll be separate for Latin America, separate for Africa, separate for US Canada, separate for European. That's 4.
Yes.
And then there's one for the Pacific. That's 5. More than that?
No, I think we have to stick with 5. And the European group, considering that most of the NATO countries, member countries, are from Europe, we have to divide it into South, Mid-Europe, and Northern Europe, in order to get some kind of perspective what is going on in the different regions. And for that, we have already the 3 working groups. If they then decide to go together and mix it, that's okay. But practically,
so for the breakout rooms today, will Europe be together, or does Europe have to have more than one meeting right now?
I have suggested that it would be 1 hour per section of Europe. So it would be a 3 hours seminar, physical seminar in Brussels. With
so
about 1 hour each.
All of y'all who are European will be in the breakout group together as we break out soon to cover that. So we're going to have 20 minutes in the breakout room, and that is to determine some of the broad specifics about your webinar or your seminar. Who are you going to contact for speakers? What will you have as a theme? What are the tasks that need to happen to pull this together successfully? So you'll have 20 minutes to basically outline that and get a rough sketch of what's happening with your webinar or seminar. In those 20 minutes, you're not going to complete everything. So that group will have to set another time to do the work together. So there'll be 5 groups, and I'll describe to you what those are before we go into them. Ooh, look at all the people that want to talk. Ula, Teresa, and Pinar. I hope I pronounced your name okay. And try to keep it to 2 minutes or less. Ula, Teresa, and then Pinar. Ula?
Yeah, I got today because there is also going to be a panel discussion on Friday Eve arranged by NATO Network, IPB, Dutch organizations. And the topics there are the dangers and burdens of military spending, just that the working groups know, and it will be also in the Piano Fabrique after the street event. So we are all going to go there, and it's also going to be streamed. There are also how to counter the nuclear threat. They also want to have alternatives for Cold War, and the need for a new conference on security and cooperation, Helsinki 2. And this is not our program. This is worked out by APB, NATO, the Dutch, the Belgian organizations. Just that the working groups know what they are dealing with, that maybe it could then be left out or discussed less in the working groups. I don't know if we can come with any programs now. I hope that every working group would just tell us how far they have gone, if that's okay.
Yes, when folks are done, we'll have brief reports out from where people are and what their next meeting might be. Teresa? You have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, George. Sylvie, the Wolf International president from Cameroon, is traveling, and she just says that she has to hop off. Franziska from Germany and I met about Global South, and I don't see her on the call, George. So if we can hear quickly from Sylvie before she hops off, because I think the Africa breakout will probably not happen, because I don't see it can happen without Sylvie. And I think she's gone now. And so, George, I think you and I are the only other people of African descent, just looking quickly. But if we can determine if there are any others of African descent in the Zoom, if not, you and I should just go to the US-Canada meeting, and then we could set up a separate Zoom for planning with Sylvie and with Franziska, who is with the International People's Assembly, and they have sections in Africa. So I'm just trying to be efficient about the breakouts, George.
Thank you so much.
What we have on the limitations of people of African descent
yes.
in this Zoom.
Yes, we're woefully lacking in people of African descent on the Zoom, and Sylvie has left us. Pinar?
Yes, thank you for your time. I just want to ask you that I just saw that declaration open to the signatures of personal names as well. And is that the case, or we can sign it on behalf of our organization? Not, for example, in my name, it's just written that Pınar Yüksek from World Match of Women, but I prefer rather World Match of Women as a signer to this declaration, because I'm presenting my organization, and what is the case about this issue. And also, second thing I want to add, I couldn't able to continue this meeting, but as maybe you know, World Match of Women is an international organization, and we can contribute to this webinar from different regions, because we have members from 5 different regions, like IPA as well. But if you can send the details about what we need about the webinars or street actions or other stuff, maybe I can check out what we can contribute to these actions. And I'm so sorry to not able to continue this meeting. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Pinar. Thanks so much. Ula.
Yes, to Pinar, I will, when I send out the next send out for signatures, I will also explain that it's open for organizations, but also for individuals. So if you, for instance, Cecilia from a UN organization in Sweden cannot sign for the UN organization, but she signs as a member of the UN organization. And if you don't want to name any organization at all, it's perfect. You just put your country. But that will go when I send it out now for the second signature round tomorrow. It will be mentioned there. And for everybody, I think it's a fair play that I send also out all the working groups, who is in the working group, whom they can contact if they want to contribute to the working group. For instance, that you, Pinar, know who are in the Southern Europe group, so that you can contact them so that I will do also tomorrow, the working groups, so you can contact them with your needs and information.
Great. All right, so I'm going to open up the breakout rooms now, and their number, there's 5. So pick number 1 if you are working on, or you're interested in working on a webinar around Latin America. 1 is Latin America. Number 2, if you're interested in working on a webinar around the Pacific. Number 3 is US and Canada. Number 4 is Europe. And that's all of them. We're not going to do an African one today. Teresa and I will follow up and make that happen. So I will open them up. You'll see the numbers and you'll be able to choose which one you want to go to. So it's going to be 1, Latin America, 2, Pacific, 3, US, Canada, 4, Europe. Okay. So you can move from one to another if you're okay. If you need to, you can also not go to any if you don't feel like doing that. But I'm opening them now and you choose which one you want. Ula, is this something you have to say before you go to your group?
No, it's just that I think we have to let people think about it and also be able to join the groups later on basis of the email I'm sending out.
That's great, but I'm talking about the breakout rooms right now. They're going to be 4, and you can pick which one you want. You should be able to see them and choose one. All right, you should be able to choose it right now.
I don't see them.
No, they're all open.
Where are they?
Weird.
Don't see them.
Yeah, look at the bottom of your screen and it says breakout rooms and 4 little dots, and then you'll see.
Click on it. Yes, click on it.
Okay, breakout rooms. Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
Sure. I'll join Nancy, US, Canada when everybody's in a room. And US, Canada is number 3.
That does not come up for me where I can click on it.
Well, I can assign you to it. Other folks are there. I'll try to assign you.
Please.
I'll do the same for Robin.
Thank you. I see.
Does anyone else need help getting into a room? No?
I'm trying to get in the 4 group.
Okay, I'll send you there.
I think I didn't manage. I'm scared.
No worries. Bye. Okay. How the rest of y'all doing? Do you prefer not to be in a group? Margot? I was trying to read your face. I don't know what to do. I just want to make sure everybody's okay before I leave. Well, y'all will just be in this room together, but you can join one if you care to. I'm going to go.
I didn't really understand which groups are.
Well, the first group is for folks who want to work on Latin America, a webinar around Latin America. Right now, there are 2 people in that group only, Beatriz from Costa Rica and Ilvia Gonzalez. I don't know where they're from. That's Europe. I mean, sorry, that's Latin America. That's number 1 group. The second one are people working on a webinar about the Pacific. There are a few people there. Cora from the Philippines, you know, Dragana is there. And then room 3 is the US. There are a good number of people in that one. And then room 4 is Europe.
I think I should go to Europe.
Okay, then I can send you there. All right. See you in about 20 minutes. All right. Other folks, are y'all good? You want to just stay where you are? Margot should be gone already. Oh, yes, yes. All right, I'm going to leave y'all. You'll be in here on your own. You can have whatever discussions you care. And I will be back in about 20 minutes. A little bit less, actually. Okay. See you a little bit before the top of.
She went into Helsinki, and then she went down. I don't think she was in Ukraine, but she was in Latvia. So she really has one of the most relevant travels in the region about what NATO is doing right now. So I would nominate her also.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And
yes, Teresa.
Could we quickly identify where people are from? I see several of my sisters in Will, but I've never met Allie before. And how many of us are from Canada and how many are from the US? If we could just identify where people are quickly. I'm Teresa in Georgia, in the deep South of Georgia in the US.
Allie, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. Yep. So I'm Allie McDonald. I'm the National Coordinator for Canadian Voice of Women for Peace in Canada.
Thank you. Marie?
I am Marie Bogie. I'm based in Montreal, Canada, and I'm the Vice Chair of the International Women's Alliance based in Canada.
Thank you. Nancy?
Nancy Price, Davis, California. I'm with WILF US. Thank you.
Thank you. Gloria?
I'm up here in Tucson. I mean, down there in Tucson.
Thank
Arizona.
You. Marie Jane Williams.
Hi, Mary Jane.
Pardon me, Mary Jane.
I'm in Florida, Orlando, Florida. I guess just call me an activist.
Thank you. Thanks. Robin?
Yeah, Robin Lloyd, Burlington, Vermont.
Thank you. And George?
I'm in North Carolina.
And I'm Ann Wright, and I'm in Houston right now. Thank you. Thanks. So we have 2 nominees from Canada to speak. Any other nominees from Canada at the moment?
I just want to speak to Tamara, just because I had a meeting with her about doing the webinar yesterday, and I'm not sure that it's something that she'll be doing because she's hoping to plan like a week's worth of action here in the KW region that we live in. So she might be busy doing that. From the sounds of it, I can ask her again. But that's at least what she shared with me yesterday regarding that week.
So she's not going to Brussels. She's going to stay in Canada.
I believe so. Yes. I think she's has a lot of trips in June that she'll be taking. I think she'll be in Canada then.
Yeah, I know she's going to Vienna for the Peace in Ukraine conference. So, okay. All right, well, let's keep...
Could we patch her in?
I can definitely talk to her about doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, ask her about that.
Okay, and what day would that be? So I could...
I think that would be Saturday the 7th.
Okay.
Of July. Excuse me, that's the Saturday's the 8th. I'm sorry.
Well, and this is going to be a hybrid anyway, because most of us will be home in the US or Canada. So could you just describe what the thinking is so far about how we make this a hybrid?
Well, I would suspect that what we would do is, as we're just identifying right now, speakers that can be in Brussels would speak in person, and it would be, you know, it's going to be on a webinar that the whole world can watch. And then those that we can rope in from afar would either send in a recording if it's too early or late in the day for them to do it, or speak live from wherever they are.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Well,
good planning.
In terms of content, in the U.S. empire, we have a lot of work to do. And in terms of how strong or weak our movement is for dismantling U.S. imperialism and the important role that the U.S. plays in NATO. And I'm making an assumption that you're going to really do the heavy lifting on that. So what are the goals for the webinar? Who's going to be listening? Who's the audience? Because the whole concept, I thought, was to build the No to NATO movement by reaching as many people as possible with our position of why there should be no NATO. So you're going to do the heavy lifting on that, right?
Well, not necessarily me. One of the people that I would suggest is Medea Benjamin, because she's been working so hard on the whole issue of peace in Ukraine, and really doing so much work on how NATO is a part of the you know, of the wars. So I would nominate her for sure.
Well, we could have two, UN, because what you know about NATO, just from the No to NATO webinar we had in October, and you know, your past military diplomatic experience, I would certainly nominate you to be one of the US speakers during the webinar.
Well, thank you very much. Let's brainstorm though to see if there are some other people, because we within the U.S. No to NATO movement, we really have a lot of people. So how about other nominations, and then we can put them all together and then see which ones we want. Thank you though, Teresa. Appreciate it. Thank you. Other ideas?
I had another person that came to mind, and I don't know if you know her. Her name is Monisha Rios. She's a Puerto Rican U.S. Army veteran. She's a very good speaker. She's spoken several times for International Women's Alliance events, and she's well known. She's very strong speaker about the role of the U.S. Military and the military spending and so forth. So I don't know if she would be available, but I thought of her. Also, she's, as I say, from Puerto Rico, so I don't know whether that means the U.S. or not, but I think she lives in the U.S. though.
Yeah, I do know Monisha very well, and she is an excellent speaker, and she now has completed all of her PhD studies, gotten that all out of the way, and she is a very dynamic speaker. Thank you. Mm-hmm. While we're focusing on global women say no to NATO, and we're really putting women's names out. There are some guys that have been doing a lot of work on this also. Dr. Joseph Gerson from Boston has been really, really active in the No to NATO campaign for decades. So if we want to rope in a fella, he would be a good person also. Any other ideas?
Well, how much time is being proposed for this webinar? I think it's important that we avoid conflicting webinars. Like I wouldn't want the US-Canada one to be happening at the same time as the Africa one. So perhaps when we come back together, George, we could talk about those logistics and scheduling, because it sounds like it's the weekend where there'll be the high concentration of webinars. George, do you know what the plan is?
Yes, their webinars are going to be on 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 3 on Saturday, and there's 1 on Thursday.
And they'll all be at different times.
Yes, they are at different times.
Great.
Mm-hmm. And I think our seminar is one of the 90-minute ones. So we could have like each of the, if we had 4 speakers, have them each allotted 15 minutes, and then have 30 minutes for Q&A if you all want that. Would that be, how about everybody put your thumbs up if that works? 90 minutes of speaking and then 30 minutes of Q&A. Okay. All right.
So that would be a 2-hour and
no, just it would be 90 minutes, 90 minutes. An hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if just an aside on the Africa webinar that George and I have agreed to kind of work on. This is a UN decade for people of African descent, which runs until the end of 2024. So when we get with Sylvie, I think we will be highlighting that and the goals of the UN decade, which are really counter to everything that NATO is doing in Africa. So just so you know, and there'll be quite a few people of African descent in the US who are working on reparations. And so since these two webinars will not be competing with each other, George and I will work very hard to get the people of African descent we know in the US to be sure to be in the US-Canada webinar so we can talk about that legacy of slavery and its relationship to NATO at some point. So I'm glad the speaker from Puerto Rico was suggested, because I'm sure she can make a real point about the colony of Puerto Rico, that it's still controlled by the US government. So thanks so much, Marie. Was it you, Marie, who brought up the sister from Puerto Rico? Thank you. So I think this is coming together beautifully, Anne. So looking forward to all the suggestions for speakers. Joseph Gerson and Medea and others are all very good. And Canada has such a strong no to NATO movement, talking about what is really happening, because meeting Tamara was my inspiration for the no to NATO webinar we had in October, just hearing her speaking to students at universities. So it sounds like the Canada No to NATO movement is quite powerful. I'm glad to know that there are others working on NATO in the U.S. because it's a bit quiet to me from my viewpoint, Anne. And I see Nancy has her hand up, Anne.
Mm-hmm. Nancy, thank you, Teresa. Nancy?
I wonder if we want to mention the U.S. global command structure when we have this webinar on Canada and the U.S., because it actually parallels NATO, but it's much more extensive. And it covers, of course, all the areas that we're talking about. And I don't mean to take any focus off NATO, but it really is such a huge parallel structure that NATO actually fits into.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, the unified command system that the United States has, which has a European command, under which NATO does most of its operations, although now NATO's moving to the Pacific also, and the Pacific Command's getting involved in it also. But certainly for the wars on the European continent, the European Command out of Stuttgart, Germany, is the key U.S. military. And the other part of it, and I think our speakers, I know Medea would go into it, and probably Monisha and certainly Joseph, the whole issue of how many U.S. military are being deployed to Europe, a huge number that really doesn't get sufficient publicity in the United States. But we're having tens of thousands more U.S. military that are going on a temporary basis, primarily into Poland. But there's a large number. So I think, yes, we would want to have our speakers identify that.
I do. I also think it's a question also of the military budget as it relates to NATO and the U.S. So I don't know, Anne, if you'd like to speak to that or not.
There's 5 more minutes for y'all to meet.
Thank you, George. Yes, I think that certainly is a very important aspect of it, the massive increase in U.S. military spending, and then, just a cascading effect on how much military stuff is going on. Emily, I see your hand up.
Yeah, just with the amount of time, I just had 2 points. I wondered if we want to decide who's reaching out to each person. Like, I know Tamara was mentioned by you, but I don't know if you're fine if I talk to her, just because I have a meeting coming up with her in the next week, and didn't know if everyone else who nominated someone feels comfortable reaching out to those people, because even if all 5 of them say yes, we could just do 10 minutes for each person, and if we're lucky enough to get all 4, then we can do the 15 minutes. And my second piece was just considering what Teresa said about who's our audience, and whether we want to discuss where we want to be reaching out, so people are aware of this webinar so that people can see it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Excellent points. I would say yes. Why don't, let's see, you reach out to Tamara, and Marie, could you reach out? And could you put in the chat the name of the person that you mentioned, because I didn't quite understand what it was. And then I can certainly reach out to Medea and Monisha. And do we want to ask Joseph to be a part of this also?
Well,
do we want a guy? Teresa?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that, since we agreed that we would be asking men to participate, and also in terms of the signers on the declaration, we would certainly want to see Joseph's name as a signer on the declaration. But in terms of just the logistics of scheduling, I think we need to pick a time slot, George, when we go back, so that we get a couple of time slots, so that when people are reaching out to speakers, they can say what time they're being asked to speak, since all of us in the U.S. in Canada will be kind of on the same time zones from Pacific to Eastern. So that seems to be an important logistic to work out when we get back. So as people are reaching out, they could give the possible times that people are being asked to speak. That's it.
Yes, thank you. We're closing out in less than a minute. Could we at least make initial contact with all these people, saying that on Saturday, the July 8th, I believe it is, that we'll be having a webinar, and that we would get back to them with the exact time. Would that be okay?
Yes, and you want to get in touch with Monisha yourself?
Yes, I can do that. Surely can. Good. Well, we've got speakers. Yay! Thank you all very much.
Could I just add that NATO is developing a space project, a space command project. So that could be mentioned as well with the U.S. Space Command. I think to really educate people about this overarching militarism from space to Earth.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Well, we can give some.
Okay, I hope everyone had a efficient and useful time together. We're going to do a quick report out. Here's what we got done. Here's when we're going to meet next, or here is the next step. So let's start with, was there anyone in breakout room number 1?
Yes.
Okay, talk to us.
Okay, no, we just, we met with Elvia from Mexico and Maria from Argentina. And we are going to meet soon after this meeting. We are going to meet among ourselves also, because other women will be joining in Latin America, and then organize ourselves for the webinar. What I was wondering, if there is anything written out about our objectives and all that, which we could translate into Spanish.
Ula would know that. Ula, are there, other than the declaration, is there anything that could be shared? That has...
Yeah, I mean, our goals, which are in the invitation letter, which we have, I can send that to you, Beatrice.
Okay, good. Great.
But the declaration has not yet been translated into Spanish, and I don't remember now who promised to do it.
The objectives, if you have the objectives, that is good for a start, and then after we see the declaration.
Yeah, okay.
All right. There's one thing I wanted to do before, and I apologize that I didn't do it already, but you had, this is, Ula, a draft program that you suggested. Can you let us know, given the webinars that begin on Friday, so there's time for, I think, 5 webinars, 2 on Friday, and then 2 on Saturday, and a seminar on Saturday. That's 4 webinars, 1 seminar. So can you let us know the times these would happen, so that when we're reaching out to people, Ula, we know, what time people are. So Friday, this 1300 to 1430. Can you say, Ula,
George,
the time? Yes.
I cannot say so much, because the webinars and the seminars are all due to the time zones. When I sent out the program suggestion, I sent out the time zones. And I think that the first thing the working groups must do is to check the time zones, so that as many as possible can join the webinar in Brussels or at home, or in Europe as a whole and the world. So it's very hard for me to give some kind of breakup of this before we know the working groups, how many minutes they will need, for each webinar, and then the time zones.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so now we can find out what group number 2.
Okay.
And group number 2 was, go ahead, Dragona.
Pacific, yes, I was in that group. There was only 3 of us there. Mercy is new, first attending this meeting for the first time. Ooh, what have I done here? I wish we had this program before we started the meeting, but there you go. You will circulate that. In considering the time difference and so many different time zones in the Pacific, we were unable to actually make any decisions, and we would definitely want to invite more women to join this group after this meeting. But Pacific Peace Network is planning a webinar on July the 1st. So scheduling another meeting very similar in its nature is going to be very difficult. And the suggestion was to use the material from that webinar in some form. IPB may be able to produce some sort of podcast or some sort of selection that can be used for the webinar that will take place in Brussels. And in real time.
Okay.
So that's basically bottom line what we were able to discuss at this breakout group. And
Thanks
we needed Anne's input into this, but she joined the other group across the Pacific.
That's right. All right then. And Anne, I'm gonna pick on you because you can share what happened in group 3.
Okay, thank you. Our group 3, which was Canada and the US, we have identified 2 speakers from Canada that we would like to be in touch with to see if they could speak, and 3 speakers that we can talk with from the US. And depending, if we can get all 5 of them, then each one would have 10 minutes. If we get 4, each person would have like 15 minutes to make presentations. We didn't talk really about the timing of when the webinar should be to have the larger audience in Canada and the US, but we'll do that in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne, for such a concise report back. Ula, you are your hands up, and you can also share what the group in Europe talked about.
First of all, we sent out the program suggestion with the time zones to the different working groups already last week. So it has been sent out, but it hasn't been sent out to the whole list, only to the working groups. And then to Anne, have you decided that it's not going to be a seminar in Brussels, it's going to be a webinar? That's a question. And then about Europe, we considered that Europe should not be divided into 3 different zones, but we put them all together, and I will send out tomorrow the persons who are already involved for Southern, Center and Northern Europe, and they all mix. And Skevi from Cyprus will then try to organize some Zoom where all the Europeans are there to see decide the themes which are going to be taken up, and also the time and so on. And I think that the European group can have their seminar webinar also as a webinar for 3 hours, because we are so many countries, but also at any time that is left when the webinars, depending on the time zones, have decided when they want to have it, because since we are there physically. So that's about that. Okay, but Anne, is it going to be only a webinar with 1 person in Brussels to introduce it?
Well, we're not sure.
Okay.
We don't know who is actually going to be coming to to Brussels. I think we could do kind of a combination. I suspect, but
that would be great. That would be great.
Thank you.
Cora?
Thank you. Yeah, I was, for sure, Dragana will be in Brussels. That's what she told us. And so maybe we can maximize her presence in Brussels and therefore run that, that webinar online as well as, people being present in and some speakers can come online. So that would be possible. At least we have one. If we have one more to tandem with Dragana, that would be great. Thank you.
All right, so there's more to do on getting these webinars set, but thanks for getting started and for carrying it forward. Maria.
Yes, well, do you understand Spanish? Do you speak in Spanish?
I don't, Maria, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, so I'll speak in English. Can I invite another women or men here in Argentina to this meeting?
Absolutely. We in the U.S. decide we're inviting a speaker who's a man to be one of the people in our webinar, possibly. So you're open to put together the team of whoever you want to do the webinar for Latin America. Is that your only question, Maria?
I need a translation.
Okay.
Puedes invitar a alguien quien, si quieres que hable un hombre, no solamente una mujer, hay posibilidad. De los Estados Unidos también va a hablar un hombre.
Ah, perfecto. Hay organizaciones con las que con las que WILF Argentina está trabajando.
Sí.
Algunas pertenecen a la FEDIM. Otras a otras organizaciones de mujeres y no solamente de mujeres. Y tenemos buena relación con ellas y con ellos. Entonces, si puedo mandarles la invitación, creo que van a estar, porque estábamos tratando de armar algo similar por la paz en Latinoamérica, con el Mopasol, con la UMA, que está en la FEDIM, bueno, y estábamos haciendo eso y justo llegó esta invitación.
Bueno, voy a traducir que todos sepan. She's saying that she will contact, she has good contacts with organizations in Latin America, in Argentina, and such organizations like FEDIM and UMA, which is part of FEDIM, and also Mopasol, such organizations. And in these organizations, there are women and men. So what do you suggest me, George and Ula? What shall I translate her? That first of all, she can contact these organizations, but she has to stress that on first row we want women, and then on the second row, of course, men can join. So that's what I will tell her now as an answer. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree. The two first rounds, which we publicize separately, that should be only women. But when we go online, it can be anybody.
Yes. And the other thing, what I want to make clear with you, that I told her that as a speaker, if there is a really strong speaker, a man, of course, a man can participate.
Yes,
so
of course.
Ok. María, ¿dónde estás? Aquí estás. Bueno, entonces me dijeron que los dos primeros rundos serían para mujeres de las organizaciones donde están y hombres y mujeres. Pedimos que firman y contactan con nosotros en los dos primeros lugares mujeres, por favor, de estas organizaciones. Pero, claro, los hombres en el tercer rundo también pueden firmar y participar. Y si ustedes quieren que en las Bruselas, en el webinar, un hombre quien habla muy bien diga su dicho, su paso, entonces eso es posible.
Muchas gracias, muchas gracias. Son mujeres.
Sí,
they are women, but well, one man.
Okay, one man, okay.
No.
Thanks so much for that help, Vera.
Thank you.
Teresa. Teresa?
You are muted, Teresa.
Thank you. For the group that didn't meet today, the Africa Working Group, George and I reached out to Sylvie, who was able to join us for a few minutes, and she is committed. In addition, there are quite a few African women who are actually in Europe, who migrated to Europe. And George and I are connected with them through getting AFRICOM out of Africa, the U.S. command in Africa that is directly linked to NATO, doings. So some of those women in the UK and in Geneva, Switzerland, will be asked if they can be in Brussels. But when we get to plan the webinar, which I think we're looking at one of the Saturday time slots, we'll make sure that the women from Africa who are in Europe, as well as Sylvie, who's based in Cameroon, but there are approximately 20 sections of WILF on the African continent. So I feel very confident that we'll be able to put together a webinar with a focus on Africa. And George and I will work to coordinate that. And if Ula can say what happened to Francisca, because I don't see her in the meeting, if she knows, I do have her email, and she and I did a Zoom together, and we kind of talked about this, but we were talking about it larger. So since we're focused on only Africa, I'm not sure that Francisca will be interested in just focusing on the one continent when she was talking about the Middle East and other aspects. So Ula, if you could get up with Francisca, since you introduced us, and she represents the International People's Assembly. I don't want her to feel that she's left out, but so that she understands that I'm working strictly with the Africa Working Group at this point. Thank you, Ula.
Yeah, she sent an email that she unfortunately was occupied, but she's fully in with the Global South and Africa, and you have to settle the themes within your group. But she's absolutely in, and she has a very broad contact net, and that also has IPB. So I think you really should cooperate. Thank you.
Well, I will email her since we met via Zoom, and so I will be in touch with her today. Thank you.
Patricia, what's up?
Yes, I want just to inform you that we are in the room, 3 women from Italy and 1 from Argentina, and we think that it's possible to organize a workshop about depleted uranium, and perhaps even to open a discussion about the infiltration of fascism and Nazism in our politics.
Wow. Okay, that's a compelling topic.
Not bad, huh?
Not bad, no. So we're nearly at the end of our meeting. One of the things that we have on the agenda that I don't think we can thoroughly cover, Ula, is the walking through the days. You know, what each day is going to entail and that kind of thing. We can do that next meeting. But let's have a brief overview, and Ula, you're probably the person who knows most about this, on fundraising. What is the need for fundraising? How does it have to happen? How much money is needed that we don't have? So what do you think, Ula?
At this moment, it looks like the premises are covered, and that's about everything we need. If we agree on that everybody takes care of their own needs for accommodation and small snacks during the meetings, we don't need any money for that. If those services are needed, we then have to have the participation fee, as I said, but maybe we can arrange with a coffee service, but also that, of course, must then be personally paid for, coffee and tea. But all the other things should be covered by the financial help we've got from NATO network and IPB. The premises were our problem, and that should be solved now. But then I would like to say, I'm sorry to see that so many got lost after we divided ourselves into working groups, because I think many did not really know what was going on and felt confused, because there are many of us who have left. So if we divide into working groups the next time, it must be really, really well explained how it works, so that people don't get frustrated and leave the meeting. So I'm sorry for that extra trouble we had with that. Everybody is not so well doesn't know the computer systems so well,
right?
Because we are all elderly women. So that was about it. But what I would like to add is that the street event, since we have no one from the working group on the event here, it will mostly be organized, as I have understood, from the Belgian organizations, and we just take part in it. And it will be filmed and put on the Peace Wave, which starts on Saturday, and we have the street event on Friday. But what I would have liked to discuss in the broader meeting, I hope more people will be attending next time, is should we stick to the hats, not helmets, for this group as our participation in the street event, because that would be easy to bring along a hat and a flag, a national flag, to show all the nationalities that are there, even if we are no nationalists, but the flag is a good logo for us. And the ones who cannot come physically, we could bring up the flags somehow. So we would have all the flags of the women in this group. That we have to consider for the next meeting. Thank you.
Sure. Nancy and Mary Jane, you two will be our last voices.
Thank you. So when would we like to have our next meeting? And also, we did not decide on the logos. It looked to me like logo number 1 had the more votes, but not everybody voted. There were very few votes, actually. No. But number 1 was the one selected.
Yep.
Okay.
That's fine.
It's the one that has the brighter green branch, olive branch.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'll check the chat again and let y'all know for sure when I send the recording. And 2 weeks from today is, I believe, May 31st. That if you wanted to meet in 2 weeks, you may want to meet in 1 week. I don't know, but I think the 31st is 2 weeks from now. Mary Jane.
I just had a clarification. I wanted to ask Ula. I didn't quite understand on this this building that you've got apparently. Are you saying that anybody? Well, who can stay there? I gather it's rooms where you can sleep, right?
No, it's meeting space.
It's only meeting space.
I think so, Mary Jane.
All right. I understand.
And everybody has to take care of their own accommodation.
Right.
There are a lot of these global booking.com and bed and breakfast and Airbnb where you can book. And if you come together, you can book even an apartment on the Airbnb and stay many people in the same place. But we cannot administrate any accommodation or food.
Would have been a miracle.
Right.
Miracles happen, but not this time.
Gloria will do all that we can to give you the background information that you need. Skevi.
I think we can meet in a week. Maybe less time, so we can finalize a few things that we can forget during these days. There are small things, small details that they have to clarify.
Okay. So are people willing or want to meet in 1 week? I see Ula, you and Leah have your hands up. We're down to 5 minutes, but let's decide whether or not we're meeting in a week.
I think
raise your hand either physically or the other hand. Ula, Leah, I know both your hands are already up, but if you want to meet in a week, everybody for meeting in a week?
No, not for me.
Yep. Maybe the working groups need to meet in a week.
Yes, I think, Skevi, that if you get the European working group together, it's enough. And then we meet in 2 weeks because the working groups are already working, most of them. So don't make, there are so many things that are more or less settled.
Okay.
So as a whole, we'll meet in 2 weeks, same time, but in between, those of y'all who have work to do together, meet.
George,
Ula, then Leah.
Could we go back to the Thursday, which we had at the beginning, and not the Wednesday?
That would be the
June 1st of June?
Okay, June 1st, same time, Thursday. All right then.
But excuse me, Ula, you would send out the emails to the different working groups so that they know who they're contacting and working with.
I will send out only to the Europeans because I think the other ones know.
Okay, good.
It's the Europeans that have been divided into 3 and now go into 1. So it's only, I send only the working groups to the Europeans.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Leah.
My question to Skevi, you were going to tell something about the Thursday European Parliament. What is the situation?
Yes, I think the European Parliament are on holiday this week. Not holiday, they have the Green Week, as they say, and they are not working. And but from the informations that I have, is that we will probably arrange a room. They will probably arrange a room for us, and by next Monday I will have the official reply. 2 maps are already agreed, and they are waiting for more. The Greek map, I think because of the elections, are not easy to find him, but their assistants cooperate to inform us officially about, and of course they will need to know how many people we are going to participate. And I hope by next week I will have the final reply.
Okay.
And personally, I believe that it will be settled to give us a room in the European Parliament for a debate.
Okay, so that's it for this meeting, 2 weeks on Thursday, same time, a 90-minute meeting again. In the meantime, do what you can to make progress in your work groups. And thanks so much for being here today.
George, you're gonna send the recording and you save the chat and you'll send it as well.
Yes, I will.
Thank you so much, George.
Sure.
Excellent facilitation, my sister. Thank you.
Take care, y'all. Bye.
Thanks, George. From Tucson. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.